At sunrise, the mist over the Pine River Bridge was thick enough to swallow a manhole, but Thor, a retired K9 German Shepherd, stood frozen at the center of the bridge, refusing to move. His handler, now a grizzled sheriff on the edge of retirement, tugged gently at the leash, but Thor wouldn't budge. Then the old dog lifted his snout and pointed toward the riverbank below, and what they found buried beneath the rocks would unearth a truth long thought dead and gone. If stories like this stay with you, consider sticking around for more. Sometimes the past isn't buried. It's just waiting. The first light of morning rolled like a soft bruise across the hills, gray and lavender through a heavy sky. Sheriff Tom Lafferty stood on the east side of Pine River Bridge, the wind pressing against his jacket, the scent of cold river water rising through the gaps in the old planks. Beside him, Thor didn't move. The German Shepherd was 12 now, his muzzle grayed, his movements slower. But not today. Today. Something had locked the dog into a state of silent alert. Ears forward, tail low, eyes locked ahead. "Come on, boy," Tom muttered, giving the leash a light tug. "We already walked the stretch. Let's head back." Nothing. Thor took one slow step forward and stopped. His nose pointed toward the far side of the bridge, specifically toward the east riverbank, where jagged rocks sloped down beneath the brush. His whole body had shifted into a tight, tense posture. Tom hadn't seen Thor like this since the Monroe farm fire case. 5 years back, when the dog had sniffed out the charred remains of a missing child buried under a collapsed floor. A shiver crawled down Tom's neck. "Talk to me, Thor." Still silent. But the dog didn't need to bark. He was speaking clear enough. The river whispered below, ice cold and slow moving. Tom followed Thor's stare toward the riverbank, the same patch of land where a teenage girl named April Kessler was last seen, 15 years ago. A soft, clear night in June. April was 17, the local pastor's daughter and the town's golden girl. Kind, quiet, straight-A student. Vanished after the senior bonfire party out in Lark Hollow. Her car had been found parked crooked near this bridge, key still in the ignition. No sign of struggle. No note. Just gone. The whole town searched. Helicopters. Dogs. Divers. Every damn reporter from Cheyenne to Missoula descended on Briar Ridge for a month straight, and then it all faded. No evidence. No body. No suspects. Tom had been a deputy back then. Young. Green. And it haunted him. He still remembered the way Pastor Kessler looked at him during the final town hall. Like you were supposed to protect her. That stare. It never left. He crouched beside Thor, rubbing a hand through the dog's thick fur. "You smell something?" Thor didn't blink, just kept that stare pinned on the rocks. Tom rose slowly, walked to the edge of the bridge, looked down. There wasn't much to see. Rocks, muddy earth, some overgrown brush pushing up through a break in the stones. But now that he stood there, he noticed something, a patch of darker ground, disturbed, like it had been dug up, maybe by animals, or maybe not. He tapped his radio. "Dispatch, this is Sheriff Lafferty." "Go ahead, Sheriff." "Send a unit out to Pine River Bridge. Bring spades and tape. Might have something." "Copy that." Tom stared down again, his gut twisted. He couldn't shake the feeling crawling into his bones. 15 years gone, and the dog was still pointing. By mid-morning, the clouds had thickened. Deputy Rachel Marek arrived with the gear. Late 20s, sharp-eyed, born and raised in Briar Ridge. She joined the force 3 years ago after working search and rescue out in Cody. She didn't waste time. "You think it's April?" she asked as she pulled gloves on. Tom didn't answer right away. He was watching the river, watching how Thor hadn't budged since sunrise. "I think it's something," he said. "Dogs never lied to me." They moved down the embankment together. Rachel took the spade and started digging near the discolored patch. The soil was thick, clay heavy, waterlogged. Thor stood on the bridge above them, pacing a slow, tight circle, watching. Within 10 minutes, Rachel's shovel hit something. Thunk. They paused. Tom knelt down, brushed the dirt away with gloved hands. Wood. Rotting. Splintered. A small box. "Burial crate," Rachel said. like the kind folks use for pets. Tom's heart thudded once, hard. Open it. Rachel hesitated, then pried the lid up. The smell hit them first, stale, bitter, old death. Inside was a tangle of decayed cloth, a long lock of blonde hair, and bones. Small, human. Rachel exhaled slowly. Skull's intact. Looks female. Tom stepped back. Cold stabbed through his ribs like a knife. Jesus, he whispered. She never left. They flagged off the area. Called the coroner. Within an hour, news was spreading to the town like fire. Remains found near bridge, possible ID. April Kessler. Tom didn't answer his phone once. By evening, the sky turned copper gray. Tom stood at the edge of the bridge again, arms crossed, staring down at the empty patch of dirt now sealed in crime tape. Thor sat beside him, panting quietly. Tom rubbed the dog's ear. You still got it, partner. He felt something inside him shift, like a knot untying. But it wasn't relief. Not yet, because one question was already clawing its way up. Why now? Why had April's body stayed hidden so long, through floods, storms, searches, only to be uncovered by chance? And more than that, who buried her there? Tom closed his eyes, and one name floated to the surface. Wyatt Kessler, April's older brother. Back then, Wyatt had been 21, just back from a stint in the military. Protective, hot-tempered, had a record for bar fights and one restraining order from an ex. And he vanished from town just 6 days after April's disappearance. No forwarding address. No goodbye. Nothing. Tom never forgot that. And now, 15 years later, Wyatt Kessler had just moved back to Briar Ridge. 2 weeks ago, bought his father's old house. Living alone, hadn't spoken to Tom once. That night, Tom sat on his porch, the cold from the storm curling under the door. Thor lay near the heater, his paws twitching in his sleep. Tom stared at the bottle on the table. Whiskey, half empty. The photo beside it showed a young April, standing on the church steps in a white dress, her father's arm around her shoulders. There had never been proof against Wyatt. No motive, no evidence. But Tom remembered the way Wyatt used to look at his sister's boyfriends. Possessive, quiet, mean behind the eyes. And April had been dating someone secret back then. No one ever found out who, not even her friends. Until now, Tom hadn't cared to push that old wound open again. But the past had found a way to the surface. And Thor, retired, tired, half-lame, had refused to move until someone looked. Tom stood, picked up the phone, dialed a number he hadn't called in years. Montana State Lab. A voice answered. This is Sheriff Tom Lafferty. I need expedited DNA on skeletal remains. And I need you to check the bone surface. Look for cut marks, bruising, any signs of trauma. Top priority. We can do that, Sheriff. You have a case number? I do now. He hung up and turned toward the dog. Thor was watching him. We're not done yet, Tom said quietly. Not by a long shot. The following morning came wrapped in fog, so thick the trees looked like ghosts behind sheer curtains. Sheriff Tom Lafferty stood in the corner of the coroner's office, arms crossed, jaw tight, as Dr. Elliot Monroe adjusted her glasses and pulled the light closer to the examination table. Beneath the stark white beam lay April Kessler's bones, washed, cataloged, laid out in precise order. Skull to femur, elbow to ankle. Dr. Monroe was soft-voiced, clinical, meticulous. These bones are remarkably well-preserved for being buried 15 years. That clay soil must have shielded them from decay. Tom nodded once. His mind was racing. Any signs of injury? She gently pointed at the base of the skull. Hairline fracture here. Paramotum. Blunt force. Could have been a rock, pipe, anything hard and rounded. Tom's throat felt dry. Cause of death. Can't confirm without tissue, but that kind of fracture could have been fatal, especially if it caused internal bleeding. She hesitated. There's something else. Tom stepped closer. Dr. Monroe moved to the right tibia and pointed to a faint groove. Defensive wound. This mark here, classic perifracture. Means she was trying to block a blow with her leg. So April fought back. Something knotted hard in Tom's chest. He reached slowly into his coat pocket and pulled out a photo. A boyish face, smiling crookedly in army fatigues. The eyes distant. Hard. Wyatt Kessler. He slid the photo onto the counter. Pull up the case file on him. I want fingerprints, military history, and I want to know if he ever had access to the church basement keys. Dr. Monroe raised an eyebrow. You think he did it? I think he ran. And people don't run from nothing. By noon, Tom was behind the wheel of his county truck, driving through Briar Ridge with Thor riding shotgun, head low, tail thumping against the seat. The town hadn't changed much. Same narrow streets, same crooked signs, same rusted water tower, looming like an old god above the pines. But now whispers followed him, people nodding, glancing. The discovery had spread fast. The bridge, the dog, the bones, and some names were starting to be spoken again. Tom stopped outside the old Kessler house, just past the cemetery ridge. The place looked sunken with age. Paint peeling, porch sagging, the swing broken and still hanging from one chain. Wyatt's truck sat in the drive. Black, mud-caked, plates from Nebraska. Tom stepped out. Thor stayed at his side. He knocked once. Then again. The door opened slow. Wyatt Kessler stood there, tall and solid, but older than Tom remembered. Late 30s now. Buzz cut gone shaggy. Beard thick. Eyes guarded. Tom met his stare. Need to talk. Wyatt didn't flinch. About April? Yes. A long pause. Then Wyatt stepped aside. Come in. Inside smelled like dust and old wood. No pictures. No decorations. Just a couch, a TV, a cluttered kitchen sink. Tom stayed standing. You've been back in town 2 weeks, he said. Didn't say hello. Didn't attend the pastor's funeral. Didn't even leave a note on your father's headstone. Wyatt crossed his arms. I didn't come for nostalgia. Then what did you come for? Wyatt didn't answer. Tom stepped forward. April's remains were found yesterday. The words hit the room like thunder. Wyatt's face didn't change, but his hand twitched slightly at his side. Where? He asked. Under the east side of Pine River Bridge. Shallow grave. Pet crate. 15 years buried. Wyatt turned toward the window. His jaw moved like he was grinding something between his teeth. Did you know? Tom asked. No. You ran 6 days after she vanished. I enlisted again. I needed out. You know how it was with Dad. I know how guilt looks, Tom said, stepping closer. And you look like hell's been dragging your conscience since 2009. Wyatt looked at Thor, then back at Tom. What's the dog think? He thinks something stinks. They stood in silence. Then Wyatt exhaled. You ever think she ran away? No suitcase. No money. No ID. No sightings. No goodbye. She didn't run. Wyatt. She died right there under that bridge. And then Wyatt said something strange. Quiet. Flat. She was supposed to meet someone that night. Tom's eyes narrowed. Who? I don't know. April kept secrets from you? She kept one. Tom took a step forward. If you know who it was. I don't, Wyatt snapped. I tried. For months after she vanished. I tried. I broke into her old email. Dug through her notebooks. Nothing. She was careful. You didn't tell any of this to investigators back then. No one wanted to listen to the angry brother with a temper. Tom stared at him for a long moment. You sure she didn't confide in you? Wyatt's voice cracked just slightly. If she did, maybe I could have saved her. A silence settled again. Heavy, uneasy. And then Thor stood, walked to the back hallway, started sniffing. Wyatt watched the dog with something like fear in his eyes. What's he doing? Tom followed. Thor remembers smells, places, death. The dog stopped in front of a closed door. Scratch once. Tom turned the knob. Inside was a storage room. Old boxes, tools, and on the wall, pinned with a rusted tack, was a photograph. April, standing beside a boy Tom didn't recognize. Blonde, tall, lean build, Maybe 19. Tom pointed. Who's that? Wyatt didn't answer. Wyatt. That's Logan Rourke. Tom blinked. Logan Rourke died in a car crash 10 years ago. Yeah, Wyatt whispered. And 5 months before that, he was dating April in secret. I found out too late. Tom stared at the photo. His pulse began to race. You think Logan killed her? I think they were supposed to meet that night. I think she was pregnant. Tom turned slowly. What? I found a doctor's bill in her drawer a week before she vanished. She had an appointment with an OB/GYN in Cheyenne. She never told anyone, not even me. The air in the room turned icy. Tom felt something unravel. She was going to leave. I think she planned to tell Dad that night, maybe even run with Logan, but something went wrong. That night, Tom sat in his office. The file spread open before him. Photos, notes, a timeline. Logan Rourke, 19, died in 2014. But back in 2009, he lived just north of Briar Ridge. Worked part-time at the hardware store. Clean record. And now a name that hadn't been in the case file was suddenly key. Tom picked up the phone and called Rachel. Get me the Rourke family home address. I want to know who still lives there. Rachel paused. That'd be Eric Rourke, Logan's younger brother. Tom's stomach dropped. Eric Rourke was a name he did know. He'd just hired him 3 weeks ago as a junior deputy. And now, April Kessler's remains had surfaced. A coincidence? Or a trigger? Tom whispered to the empty room. What the hell did I just let into this building? Thor lifted his head slowly, watching. The past wasn't just clawing its way back. It was already inside the house. Sheriff Tom Lafferty sat alone in the briefing room of the Briar Ridge Sheriff's Office, staring at the door. It was just past 7 a.m. The station was quiet, still caught in the morning hush, coffee still brewing. But his pulse beat hard. Eric Rourke was late, not unusual for a new deputy. But today, it meant something. Tom turned to Thor, who lay curled in the corner of the room, head up, eyes fixed on the door, not sleeping, watching. The dog knew. Tom stood, walked to a whiteboard, and pulled out the photo Wyatt had given him. April and Logan Rourke. Taken a month before April vanished. He pinned it next to a copy of Logan's obituary. Car crash in 2014. Solo vehicle. Off the Ridge Road during a storm. Ruled an accident. But Eric Rourke had been 16 at the time. The younger brother. A tag-along in Logan's shadow. And then April went missing. 15 years later, her bones surfaced. And Eric was now a badge-carrying officer. Coincidence didn't sit well with Tom anymore. At 7:17 a.m., the side door clicked open. Eric stepped in, tall and lean, hair still damp from a rushed shower. He carried a folder under one arm and a half-eaten granola bar in the other. Sorry, Sheriff, he said, easy. Ran late. Roads were fogged up. Tom nodded, casual. Closed the door. Eric hesitated, then did. Tom gestured to the chair across from him. Sit. Eric frowned. Everything okay? Tom didn't answer, just waited. Eric sat slowly, setting the folder on the table. Thor stayed in the corner, unmoving. Tom folded his arms. When were you going to tell me your brother was Logan Rourke? Eric's jaw moved slightly. Then, didn't think it mattered. It matters. Eric gave a tight smile. You're saying my last name disqualifies me from doing my job? I'm saying your last name connects you to April Kessler, who we just pulled out of the riverbank. A pause. Eric's hands curled slowly into fists. Tom leaned forward. What do you remember about April? She was kind, sweet. Logan liked her a lot. I didn't really know her. Tom watched him closely. You sure about that? Eric stared at the floor. I was a kid. You were 16. Eric's voice sharpened. And my brother died 4 years later. You want to interrogate a ghost. Tom didn't blink. No, I want to talk to the living. Someone buried April in a pet crate and left her under a bridge. That person was close to her. And to Logan. Eric looked up, eyes burning. You think my brother did it? I think maybe someone else did. Out of anger, jealousy, protectiveness. I think maybe someone didn't want April to run away with your brother. A full silence fell. Then Eric stood up. I didn't kill her. Thor stood too. Tom's voice dropped. You buried her. Eric froze. And that was all the confirmation Tom needed. The confession came in a halting, broken voice. Not rehearsed. Not defiant. Just cracked open. Eric sank back into the chair, shoulders shaking. I didn't mean for it to happen. Tom sat down slowly. I was 16. I followed Logan that night. He was acting weird, said he was meeting someone by the bridge. He'd been fighting with Dad for weeks. Said he was leaving town. I knew it was about April. Eric swallowed hard. I stayed hidden in the trees. I saw her waiting. She had a backpack. Said she was ready to go. Said she was pregnant. He paused. My brother lost it. Not angry at her, at himself. Said they couldn't do it. That he didn't have the money, the means. He kept saying, I can't ruin your life. They argued. Then she turned to leave. She said she'd go alone. Tom watched quietly. And that's when I stepped out. I didn't mean to scare her, but I did. She slipped, hit the rocks. I ran down. She was unconscious, bleeding. I panicked. You didn't call for help, Tom said softly. Eric nodded slowly. I thought she was dead. Logan was crying. Kept saying, what do we do? What do we do? You buried her. I told him we couldn't call anyone. It had looked like he did it, like he pushed her. We were stupid. I found the crate behind someone's shed, meant for a dog. We used that, buried her where the earth was soft. Tom's voice was flat. And you kept it secret for 15 years. Eric nodded. When Logan died, I figured it died with him. He never told a soul. But you applied here. I needed the job. Thought, maybe if I could serve this town, it'd mean something, like making up for it. Tom looked toward Thor. The dog's eyes stayed fixed on Eric. The weight in the room was unbearable. You lied on your application, Tom said finally. Omitted family history. You buried a crime. I was 16, Eric whispered. I didn't kill her. No, Tom said coldly. But you let her rot under dirt while her family tore themselves apart. That afternoon, Tom drove to the edge of the town cemetery. The rain had come again, soft and slow, soaking the fresh soil over April Kessler's grave. The headstone was simple, just her name, her birth and death years now carved in full. Wyatt stood beside it, hands in his pockets. He didn't look at Tom when he approached. We got him, Tom said. It wasn't Logan, not entirely, but he helped cover it. Wyatt nodded. I always thought I could have saved her, he said softly, if I'd just paid closer attention, if I'd asked the right questions. Tom glanced down. We all miss something. I still dream she's alive sometimes, that she'll come walking in through the door, smile like nothing happened. Tom said nothing. After a moment, Wyatt added, Funny thing is, that dog, Thor, he's the one who gave her voice back. Thor sat between them, head lowered, rain soaking into his coat. He always had that gift, Tom said. Never quit, never forgot. They stood there in the rain, not speaking, letting the silence fill what words couldn't. Tom felt something loosen in his chest. Not relief, not peace, just the cold edge of justice. It would have to do. Epilogue 100 words. The bridge remains quiet now. Locals say the fog settles thicker there, like it's morning. Sheriff Tom Lafferty retired that fall, left his badge on the desk and Thor by his side. The dog, though aging, still stops at the bridge during morning walks, still stares at the far side, like he's waiting for something to finish. Eric Rourke was charged with obstruction, an accessory to improper burial. But the real sentence will never leave him. And April, she rests now. Not lost, not forgotten. The river keeps its secrets, but sometimes the dog refuses to let them lie.